Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Summer is in full swing. Are you stocked up and prepared? With the kids staying home this summer, family vacations planned, and ball games to go to, your pantries and cupboards are probably looking a bit bare these days. Save money and stock up this summer by doing your shopping at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Not only will you be able to get the best deals on the best items in the area, you can do some extra savings with Hy-Vee's fuel perks. Save money on groceries and gas. That's a win-win situation. So what are you waiting for? Get to shopping at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire today. We're getting set for another busy travel season, vacations, taking our kids to all their games and activities, and you need a proper vehicle to get you to where you're going and safely. That's where Toyson Ford can help you. Toyson Ford will go the extra mile to provide you with compelling options for new and used car shopping. They will gladly work with you on financing no matter what your budget may be. They're committed to giving drivers across the Chippewa Valley.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
The best in customer service. Check them out for yourself. Visit Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls today and check out their website, toysonford.net.
Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Man Cave Podcast, brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee and Toyson Ford. Also, don't forget to check out the Swag Cave done by Resonance Branding Company. That link is in the podcast description. On this episode of the podcast, we're going to continue our Packers training camp kind of preview, because we've been doing some storylines, the top storylines heading into Packers training camp. Now that we are about a week and a half away at the time of this recording of this podcast for Packers training camp to begin. First day is July 22nd. So, got a couple headlines, or I should say storylines, that I want to talk about in this episode of the podcast. So let's continue our series of top storylines. Let's talk about one of the biggest storylines with this team from the entire offseason. And that's a new defense, a brand new defense, and a brand new defensive coordinator in Jeff Hafley. Probably the number one storyline for a lot of Packers fans heading into training camp, heading into this season. Now, a lot of excitement surrounding this. It was kind of, you know, when it was announced, it's like, who? Who's this guy? Wait, he's a college coach? Oh, he's from Boston College. It's not even like from the SEC or anything like that. So, I mean, it was met initially with a lot of skepticism and like, what? And then you start to hear a little bit more. You start to hear from people in the know. You start to hear from former players, and it's like, oh, okay. Kind of liking what I'm hearing here a little bit more. And then I feel like once you heard him talk and doing some pressers, he was saying all the right things. And Packers fans are optimistic. They're excited about what Jeff Hafley could potentially bring to this defense. One, you're switching up to a 4-3. So gone are the days of 3-4. Now, I struggle to say straight up 4-3 because I think you're going to see a lot of 4-2-5 with nickel. I think you're going to see different concepts. And I think, you know, you may have some teams that are, you know, still a little quote-unquote old school and still really with the 4-3 or 3-4 and such. But I feel like we're now in the time where you're going to see some adaptability, creativity, and that sort of stuff. So you may see different looks. But from a base standpoint, yes, it's a 4-3. But one of the biggest things that really piqued the interest or has really gotten Packers fans excited about Jeff Hafley and this defense is, one, his background in secondaries, with working with the secondary defense backs, but also what he has said and what his philosophy is with corners playing press man, being aggressive, one-on-one, because that is what a lot of us Packers fans have wanted for a while. We have begged for it. We have wanted to see it, and we haven't a whole lot. And we've got a coordinator now that sounds like that's what he wants to do. You're also hearing about a defensive coordinator that is going out there and saying he wants his defensive linemen to attack and to hit the gaps, to shoot the gaps, to go after the quarterback, and not necessarily just eat up blocks and let linebackers do their thing or attempt to do their thing. So, and then you bring in Xavier McKinney, the prized safety in this free agent class. You give him a big contract and you bring him on over. So there's a lot of enthusiasm and excitement surrounding his defense. However, not to be a little poo-poo on this parade or Debbie Downer or anything like that, there's been other years we've been excited about this defense and the potential that they could bring, and we've probably been a little bit more disappointed than not. But we're hearing all positive stuff, whether it's from players in their first experiences, whether it's been OTAs or mini camps, practicing under Jeff Hafley. They've had positive stuff. You're bringing in guys with a lot of experience, assistant coaches too, with a lot of experience, keeping some other guys still around from the previous staff. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited about this defense. It's hard not to. It's hard not to be excited about potentially what this unit could look like. It's hard not to be putting some high expectations on this group. Are we putting maybe a little too high expectations for year one? Maybe. I don't know. But I think when we look at this defense overall, there's so many players on this group that you're looking at, and that's why I'm just kind of lumping it all into one almost here, is when you look at this, there's so many different players or position groups that you're like, man, you can point to them and be like, I can't wait to see what they can do or what they're going to do in training camp. I mean, defensive line, you start off with them. Kenny Clark moving to maybe a role that's better suited for him. A guy that, for the majority part of his career, he's been asked to do some things, and he's had some Pro Bowl seasons. Last year, he set a career mark in sacks, but now this year, he may break that because he's going to be asked to actually go after the quarterback a little bit more. I think Kenny Clark is in line to have a career year. I think Devontae Wyatt entering his third year, he's got to have a career year this year, but I think he's in a position now in a system that will allow him to do that. Rashawn Gary, we'll see how he looks with his hand in the dirt. Lucas Van Ness, I think this fits him a little bit better here too. You still got Preston Smith, the old man on that defensive side. Preston Smith is one of those guys who's excited about this defense. He, made the comment about he's going to be able to go after the quarterback more. So, sorry for anybody that wants to see him lining up in the slot against Devontae Adams. Ain't going to happen this year. I mean, linebackers. Quay Walker, I think, is going to be a guy playing on that weak side where he's going to have room to make some more plays. Edrin Cooper, we're hearing all the positive stuff about him and the speed that he brings to the table. Mentioned Xavier McKinney. Positive stuff we keep hearing about him in his leadership role. Jair. You're looking at him, and then we mentioned Eric Stokes yesterday, Carrington Valentine, heading into year 2. Keyshawn Nixon's got the new contract. I mean, there's a lot of players and a lot of position groups on this defensive side that you can pick, individually out for storylines. But from a defensive overall, when we add in the coordinator and the new assistant coaches with there is high expectations for this group. There is high expectations for this group to be an improved unit. And I think we all want to see probably a top 10 defense, and I don't think that's too much to ask because I honestly feel like this side of the ball, this defensive side of the ball has talent. They've got talent there. And I honestly feel like the last couple of years, they have just been utilized wrong. And it bugs me. It bugs me why we constantly see teams, coaches, front office, whatever the case may be, where they're on different pages, it seems like. Where, like, why wouldn't you adapt to the personnel you have, or why wouldn't you draft personnel to fit what you want to do on defense? It felt like there was a discord the last couple of years, because it felt like Joe Barry was not utilizing his talent the right way. Now, was it Brian Gutekunst not drafting talented to fit what Joe Barry wanted to do in defense, or this? I don't know. But it feels like it's a little bit different. Now, we'll know once they get on the field and they start playing games that actually matter, right? I mean, we'll get a sense of that in the regular season. But it maybe seems like they've turned that page. But it just still bugs me. Like, you're a coach. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you adapt and use your personnel and put players in a position to succeed? And that was the downfall, ultimately, I think, of Joe Barry. Now you bringing in a guy who I think is bringing in some crazy enthusiasm, good crazy enthusiasm with Jeff Hafley. You look at some of his coaching, his assistants that he's bringing with too, enthusiasm, energy with that group, a mindset, a different mindset, a aggressive mindset, it seems like. And I don't think it's too high of an expectation to say a top 10 defense. I don't. I really don't. I think it's fair. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm pumped to see it, like a lot of you out there. But again, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. Once we get to camp, once we get into the regular season, let's see it come together. Training camp now, they've had OTAs, they've had mini camps. I'm hoping, I'm assuming, but I'm hoping a lot of these guys been working with the playbook and understanding that. I'm sure it's been a little bit of adjustment here and such. Training camp is now go time to really start to implement all that stuff and to get going, because you got championship aspirations as a team overall this year. Okay, you don't really have a grace period to try to incorporate some news like, okay, give us a year or two. No, they don't have that luxury. We got to win now. That window is now. We got to win. And obviously for Green Bay to take that next step and to be a champion, to win a championship, their defense has to get better. And I think there's that optimism that they will be better, that they're going to be a lot more fun to watch. And you want this group now to kind of pick up the slack. Because last year, what was the talk? All right, we got a young offense. We got a new quarterback. Defense is going to have to lead the way, the first half of the season, or at least the first few weeks of the season, right? Defense is going to have to be the one in charge there. Probably not the same mindset this year, but let's just have a cohesive, collective, synergy team, complementary team. Let's hit the ground running. No doubt, I think this is probably the biggest storyline heading into training camp, this change in defense, this change in philosophy. And I think now it's gotten players on this team more confident. And I think that also has kind of raised the expectation within that team, within that group of like, okay, now we go. We're feeling good now. We're confident that we can win a championship. Next, I kind of want to talk a little bit about Xavier McKinney. So we talked about the defense as a whole, but I think one of the storylines heading into training camp and into this season too is the impact that Xavier McKinney is going to have on this ball club. We knew safety was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, need for the Packers heading into this offseason. Whether it was, were they going to be able to sign somebody? Were they going to draft somebody high in the draft? And I think a lot of us is like, okay, Xavier McKinney would be a guy that would be awesome, but are they going to, fork over the money for him? And they did. They gave him a big-time contract to come over and hopefully really improve that safety position for the Packers. And with Jeff Hafley coming over as new defensive coordinator, that safety was going to be an important position to address considering the style of coverage he likes to play with his corners and such. So Packers went out there and gave Xavier McKinney a 4-year, $67 million contract that includes a $23 million signing bonus, $23 million guaranteed, an average annual salary of $16,750,000. Xavier McKinney, I think, is going to be, if this defense, we talked about the defense, hopefully taking a step, high expectations with the new coordinator coming in and maybe players playing in a better position for themselves to better, not only for them to play better, but to help this unit overall. But Xavier McKinney is going to be a huge key to the success of this defense and in turn to the success of this team overall this year. Next to him, he's going to have a rookie safety, Bullard, over there. He's going to be the guy that's kind of at the back end there directing some of the traffic, and there's going to be a lot on the shoulders of Xavier McKinney to be a big-time leader on this defense. Now, from all accounts, from the OTAs and from mini camps and that, he has kind of really stepped up into a leadership role. Him and Jair Alexander been apparently kind of attached at the hip, in meetings and that sort of stuff. So, Xavier McKinney, even though he's a new guy coming in, he has to be an instant leader for this ball club. There's going to be high expectations for him coming in that he's going to be able to instantly improve that position group, but this defense overall. So I've got a lot of high expectations, and rightfully so. When you go out there and give a man this amount of money for this contract, you're expecting him to go out there and perform and be that leader. And I think for this defense to take that next step, to vault into a consistent top 10 unit, to be a better pass unit, if Jeff Hafley wants to play that aggressive man-to-man coverage, there's going to be a lot on the shoulders of Xavier McKinney here too. With that style of defense, but also, playing maybe next to a rookie to help him out, to help out the secondary. So I think there's a lot riding on the shoulders of McKinney coming in here to be a big-time impact player on this team. Defense overall team here. There's no question the last couple of years, when we look at the safety groups, Green Bay last year just tried to plug in some holes and pigeonhole this thing. Darnell Savage, I think Darnell Savage was a guy that was misused within the style of defense. I really believe that. I think he was misused. And we'll see what he does in Jacksonville. But first-round pick that didn't end up sticking around. Last year they tried Owens for a little bit. And down the stretch he was playing some solid ball. But is he a difference maker? I think you need a difference maker at a safety position. With the style, with the way the NFL is played now, I think you kind of almost need that difference maker at the safety position. I don't know if Owens is a difference maker. They put in Rudy Ford. Again, initially he was brought in a couple years ago for special teams. Dallas game was a couple years ago, ends up with a couple picks, and he didn't really kind of got an opportunity to be a starter last year, didn't run away with that. So they tried different variations. They tried putting in different safeties here, and nothing just worked. Nothing just worked with that group. They had Adrian Amos for a while there too after, Goody's free agency splurge when he first came aboard, when he signed up Za'Darius and Preston and such. But even Adrian kind of just, great first couple years, solid couple years to begin it, but then just nothing after that. Didn't really last that long, if you will. They need a difference maker, and they're counting on Xavier McKinney to be that difference maker in the back end of this group. I think he's got the tools to do it. You look at last year, what he did with the Giants. Played in every game, started in every game, couple of picks, 3 interceptions there. We can go through the passer rating that he's allowed. The numbers they tell the story there. Now, hopefully with this new contract, he can live up to it. But if Xavier McKinney goes out there and plays at an all-pro level, plays at the level that we've seen him in his early part of his career that helped him get this deal, that's a huge boost for this defense. It's a huge boost. And I think what's going to help is, again, Xavier McKinney playing in a style of defense that and playing under a coordinator that it seems like is going to put him in a position to succeed. I'm excited to see what X could go do out there. And I hope that he plays up to that contract. So, and I'm excited to see what him and Jair. I think Jair is going to be a guy that is going to benefit, and I'll give you a little bit of a tease. Jair is going to come up later on in our storylines here, but I think Jair is going to be a guy that's going to benefit a lot too by having Xavier McKinney playing behind him. And I think those two, from all accounts, from what we've seen, from what we've heard, those two have hit it off. Those two are really kind of, it seems like taking a step to being leaders on this defensive group. Sitting next to each other in meetings, hanging out, getting on the same page sort of thing. And I do wonder, too, I think Xavier is going to be maybe, I got this feeling that Jeff Hafley may use Xavier McKinney in a bunch of different situations here, too. And he's going to lean on him, especially if they're going to be starting another rookie back there like Javon Bullard or something. Jeff Hafley is going to lean on Xavier McKinney quite a bit. And he's going to rely on him quite a bit. And again, rightfully so, he should. Is he up to that challenge? Well, we'll see once we get into camp and once we get into the season and such. So, all right, we will do more of these storylines heading in, but again, recap it. We've touched on Matt LaFleur and the offense. We've touched on Jeff Hafley. We've touched on Christian Watson / Eric Stokes and their hamstring, soft tissue injuries. Can they bounce back? Have they finally turned the corner on that? And now Xavier McKinney. All right, that is going to do it for us on this episode of the Man Cave Podcast. Again, brought to you by our good friends from Hy-Vee and Toyson Ford. And don't forget to check out the Swag Cave by Resonance Branding Company. That link is in the podcast description. Until next time, also don't forget to follow, subscribe, rate, review the podcast. But that way you never miss another episode. All right, so would appreciate that. And that way others can, more ratings, more positive reviews. Others find the podcast that way too. So, but until next time, I'm Dan Casper, and I will talk to you on the next episode of the Man Cave Podcast.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.